And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world, and welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. Where is young Harris? What?
Good question. What?
Here he comes. Here he comes. Were you in the basement again, sir?
It happens, you know.
Right. How are we all?
We're up, Harris.
Doing well.
Look at Harris and his tiny little head. Look at him.
You thought he was small before. Now look at him.
You know.
So, chaps, we are here to discuss some slightly bad news. It's not great news, let's be honest. I haven't shared the video. Can anybody in the comments share the video for me? Because I forgot. But we are going to talk about the news that I dropped midweek. I haven't done a video about it yet because I'm desperately trying to sort of get more information on it. So we have to dump this very firmly in the rumor category. I'm going to say that repeatedly in this video. It's rumor category. I've only got one source on it, but I have been able to find a couple of other bits and pieces about the executive that from MGM that apparently said it. At the very least, been trying to find out if it's the sort of thing he would do. And apparently, very much so. He's known as a little bit of a hothead. so that gives me a little bit more support that actually this isn't out of character. So I'll very quickly say what happened or what the source I've spoken to says happened. And then I've sort of broke it down into a few bits I want to discuss. If that's cool with you guys. You haven't really got
to Yeah, no worries.
Melvin, thank you very much for joining us today, by the way. Matt can't join us today. He's had a really shitty week at work. So Melvin has stepped in. And Stormy is still not well, guys. So please.
I still haven't been on a live with Stormy.
Really? It's because he hates you, Melvin. Well, he's actually infected his own boner just to not be on a video with you.
It was because I asked him that time about the ion thrusters, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's never letting that shit go. Hey, Michael. Hey, Davey. Hey, Laura. Hey, Secular Monk. Hey, Michael Carey. Bob's in. Rich is in. I think I said Laura. Paul Maloney's in. Sarah Euler's in. Hello, Batmol. The Gate is in. So, yes, this news was dropped on the Wednesday live video when Michael kept dropping out on me.
Cinema
and then
Scoop.
Harris discussed it on Cinema Scoop just after in a bit more detail. But basically what happened is one of my sources that works over at one of the larger agencies was having a meeting with an MGM Plus executive, a senior MGM Plus executive is as much as I can really say fairly. The meeting was about talking and discussing what projects are going to be potentially affected by the redundancies that were announced. So a bunch of redundancies at MGM and Amazon, and a load of redundancies over one of their Asian side of things. And they were basically saying, look, what is going to be affected, if anything. As that meeting went on, they started talking about what upcoming projects were going to be affected. And this senior executive got a bit heated. And they did say that basically the movie for Stargate, RoboCop, and a couple of others that were planned to be announced in the next couple of months have been put on hold. So they were just, and he actually went on as far as saying that he thinks Stargate, because obviously my source immediately went, Stargate, I love Stargate. Can we talk about that? And he basically said he doesn't think the Stargate movie is going to happen. We'll talk about why in a minute. But first of all, there's the Stargate movie and RoboCop, to be honest, as well, because I was just like, fuck man, I'm looking forward to that as well. What's your first instinct? For one, do you think that's a good idea? And for two, can you understand maybe why? Harris,
Melvin, you go for it. Well, I got a little bit on Cinema Scoop on Wednesday, so Melvin, you go for it.
Well, I can understand it, but I mean, the movie wasn't the one thing that everyone wants, is it? The one thing everyone wants is the show. So, and the fact that MGM Plus is being such a pain in the arse, it it's no. I've lost interest in MGM Plus because we're not going to get it over here anyway. But this is nothing
We
showing
do
up.
get it over here. MGM Plus is on
Oh,
Amazon Prime.
Well, I know we get MGM, but we're not getting
No,
MGM Plus,
MGM.
are we? Not as the independent platform.
We do. It's $4.99. It's on. Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's the same as the American version.
It's just normal. Yeah, but on
like
Amazon, it's just MGM, isn't it? It's not MGM
Yeah, it's
Plus
MGM
on
Plus.
our Amazon, is it? That's
Can't
fine.
either. Doesn't matter.
I'm
It's the
subscribed to
same-
the MGM, but it's not
It's the same
MGM
content.
Plus.
It's pretty much the same content.
Yeah. Well, that's just moved over, but the MGM Plus is the replacement for that then.
Yeah, because we never had Epics over here. We already had an MGM service, didn't we, before that?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a look, actually. Is it not MGM Plus?
Nope.
Definitely not. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even realize.
Just MGM.
Yeah,
I
it's just
got it.
repeating
From the start.
here.
Yeah, I've got it. I've never looked. I've never noticed that. I don't know. I never come to become a police detective because someone's going to get murdered and they go, it happened in front of you. Did it? I wasn't noticing.
I think it was even announced when they announced MGM Plus officially. It was announced that it was going to be in America first, and it may or may not go global. But Amazon was always intending to keep MGM for, especially for the rest of the world.
It is supposed to be translating across into other networks this year and next year. Apparently, Amazon are pushing for a big.
Provided they get the content.
Yeah, the content preference. Happy days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is. I hate David Beeson. It was annoying. So is it 2-1 then, Dave? We don't. I just talked to somebody yesterday about Andrew Faison Townsend about 30 minutes. About how the most clicked video I've got is when Liverpool lost 7-0. We lost 7-0 to Liverpool. It's the most clipped video I've ever had.
That was the most fun stream. Every 4 or 5 minutes, you're just getting angrier and angrier. It's great.
If the one question I suppose I have to ask though is I know the reasons I was given for why this MGM executive believes the movie's being cancelled. Why do you have any reasons why you think if you're an Amazon executive, why would you cancel it? And guys, get into the comments as well and tell me what you think. Are there reasons why this maybe is different from 12 months ago?
Well, I mean, I kind of touched on it a little bit on Cinema Scoop after we talked about it the other day. Was just, I mean, I know as Stargate people, we are probably preferring a series over a film. But the reason I've been so gung-ho about a film is strictly because of the confidence aspect of it. That means the studio behind it cares for this. They've worked on it. They've put the effort into like knowing what they actually have and what it could do. And this is what I was worried about all along. I know I mentioned it the other day was if it goes to MGM Plus, if we actually get a TV series on MGM Plus, we're going to get 2, maybe 3 seasons of it before it gets canceled. Not enough eyeballs are going to get on it. And if it goes to Prime, everybody's going to watch it for a week. Or they're all going to subscribe to MGM Plus for a week, maybe a month to watch it, and then toss that right back out. That's not going to be making any money for Amazon, or a third the amount they want, a quarter the amount they want, half the amount what they want, whatever it may be. I just think it ends up showing how worried they are instead of the confidence aspect of it, obviously, but the lack of willingness to give us something on our screens, I think, comes from that. And I don't know, it makes me sad. It pisses me off, but it also makes me sad. I just wish that the studio would actually do something with it. They know what they have. They've wasted it. It's become a nothing burger. The more we talk about a series over a movie and the more they fiddle their thumbs, it becomes more of a nothing burger. The more we talk about a series, I strongly do not think we're ever going to get anything Stargate again until it's going to be another 10, 15, 20 years from now. We need to talk about a movie. I think it's time to talk. I think it's squarely in that field at this point again. And the studio's decision-making as of recent is the icing on the cake there. I hate to say it, but
is the reason though why maybe Amazon are hesitating and Melvin, I'd love to know your thinking on this. Is it because their decision making has been bloody awful in the last, say, 5 or 6 years? And if you're getting movies that cost $300 million and have barely taken $100 million at the box office, it's made them stop and think.
Yeah, rightly so. That's what I think. Because movies have lost a lot in the last 5 years, right? I mean, how many billions has Disney lost in the last several movies that they've made?
Besides Avatar 2, the third highest grossing film ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but everything else has struggled. Well, I know, to be fair, Disney's been it's at a roller coaster, if we're going to be fair about it.
It truly hasn't.
Beauty and the Beast made a load of money.
Well, even if we're talking recent, Ant-Man sucked, and it didn't make a whole bunch of money, but Guardians made $800 million. Not as much as you'd want or necessarily expect, but it did just fine. Elemental didn't make a bunch of money at first, but came back and made plenty of money. Wish didn't do as well as people probably wanted it to, but it made money. They're not as bad, quote unquote, as we from the public zeitgeist, from our public opinion. It feels like they're in the place that we want to put them in, and they're definitely reaching that point. But we are hyperbolizing it a bit.
They've not had the hit after hit that they were getting 8 years ago, though.
And it feels like
every Marvel movie was making $1 billion. Every Star Wars thing was making a bit. You know what I mean? So that's why I think where Melvin's got a good point.
Yes,
they are stuttering.
Their own rules. Disney specifically said, well, Bob Iger said live, he said that if a movie doesn't make $1 billion, full stop, it's a failure. So
I'm blocking Paul Maloney. But yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and that's where we were 5 or 6 years ago. Films, it was getting to a point where the film had to make $1 billion. Or
how much did the first Avatar movie make?
From 2009.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were hoping to make $3 billion on this one. They made 2.
Yeah, but just failed. Compared to the first Avatar 2, was it The Way of Water? Wasn't as good. It's been too long since the first one came out.
It was brilliant. It was low.
I don't know. I think the entire world would oppose that.
They were surfing. They were all like, splashing each other, and
it was man on another world.
It didn't necessarily reinvent the script from beforehand, but I think it added a lot to that world, and it did what it wanted.
I think James Cameron was in the bath with writing a script, and he dropped it, and he went, "Eureka! I'll just do the first film wetter," and it made $2 billion. So happy days. Right. The reasoning the executive, apparently, when he went on a little bit of a rant, he did say that there was definitely a feeling in all of the studios that cinema's changed, and it's basically took executives about 2 years to twig that everything after COVID, in particular. Our habits have changed, not just COVID, though, because COVID and streaming, I think we discussed this, didn't we, on Wednesday, Harris? But
social habits changed.
Social habits really changed in the last couple of years. So we, and that streaming, COVID, the internet generally, because obviously we've been living with the internet a long time now, but in the last 5 years or so with 4G and all this sort of thing, it's really got to a point where you can stream straight to your phone. It's gone to that next level sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that I don't think the studios and executives actually understand is the advancement that people like us have on YouTube and other platforms is that people will wait until we say something about something. So if we say there's a channel that will go out, they'll watch a film. Well, they'll pay to go to the cinema, and they'll tell them whether it's good or bad, and then they'll tell them what the story is, more than what the synopsis says. And then the people will decide, I might go and see that, but they'll wait until after people like us have done a video. Especially in today's
the YouTubers, generally speaking, and YouTube influencers have become way more powerful today than they were 5 years ago.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, even they're talking about the Disney how people just think Disney are just losing billions and billions of dollars. And don't get me wrong, they lost a shitload of money because of Disney Plus. They were losing $1 billion a year, basically. Was it $400 million a quarter at one point? So they lost a lot of money because of that. But because there are a lot of hate-clicking YouTubes out there that really, really hate Disney, it is creating this almost a false attitude that every single Disney movie in the last 5 years has bombed and been a woke joke fest. And it's not. They are making money still. Not as much as they were, but they are
not as successful as they used to the 5 years before that, though.
No, they've been tripping on their own shoelaces a fair bit. So it does feel that Amazon, particularly during the strikes, like every other studio, and don't get me wrong, them cancelling or at least putting Stargate, RoboCop, and other things on the back burner, it shouldn't really be a massive shock because every other studio has done virtually exactly the same thing. They've quietly, I mean, I know about Stargate and RoboCop because I'm interested in it. I've got sources that are able to tell me about it, but I can tell you, if we were able to get into the offices of every other studio, there's 100 other projects that would have been announced by now that are now on pause, that they're backing off because the studios had too long to think about it. With Disney and a couple of others, projects that are made and finished, they're not going to release because of this tax write-off thing that they realize they can make a bit of money on.
That 20,000 League Under the Sea show.
And the fan backlash.
Well, yeah. There has been a fan backlash. So, but, you know, we're
Star Wars.
We're in a different world right now than we were pre-COVID and pre-streaming. And that's one reason why this is happening. I would argue that maybe Amazon have listened to MGM. They kept making the argument that the series is what people actually want. So it might just be an element of that. Did you think that maybe has some legs, that they've just listened and gone, the evidence isn't there to support that a movie will be successful, but a series?
Their in-house is too messy to even do a series. I think that's the biggest thing at the end of the day. Their in-house is far too messy to do a series. And from what we know as just the audience and the people that are paying Prime customers and potential paying MGM Plus customers, realistically, we keep clamoring for a series. Nobody wants a series. Nobody wants to go to MGM Plus. That we're all lying to ourselves. I'm sorry to say it, but the more we say we want a series, but I'm not paying for MGM Plus, you don't want a series. You want it within your own confines, and if that's going to happen, if you want it to be that big to be put on Prime, it needs a movie. I truly believe we got to start clamoring for a film, or we're not going to get Stargate. It's spooky at this point. Like we talked about earlier, Bob I think made the joke. We're edging ourselves at this point over and over, and that's excuse the term, but it's a fitting term. Like,
well. I mean, I think the original plan of having this sort of franchise thing where it would be a couple of movies, a couple of TV series, they'd film the whole thing in 2 or 3 sound studios. If we assume the movie's done, I mean, we assume that plan is done. And I can tell you that apparently, according to somebody else, that Amazon has already spent $10 million on Stargate new franchise. That's $10 million they've already spent.
That's just a gate.
Yeah, just building a gate. Well, and paying for an original script to be done. It looked like we're reasonably certain some prop work and stuff was done and things, and they were gearing up towards filming the movie in summer. It's not now. That's nothing like what Netflix spent $30 million preparing to do He-Man.
Yeah, just dots it out.
He-Man.
Yeah, I'm so gutted we're not getting a He-Man live action movie. I really, really wanted it. And I understand where you're coming from, Harris, for talking about a movie. One of your arguments the other day was, though, that if this goes on MGM Plus, we'll get 3 seasons and they'll cancel it. And
if we get 3.
I think you are wrong. I think it will purely be based on whether this is successful or not. And they will show it on Prime as well. They'll just show it on Prime after they show it on MGM Plus.
Those Prime numbers won't affect MGM Plus, though, will they?
What, sorry?
Those Prime numbers won't affect MGM Plus, though. They're not getting the money from that they would if it was on MGM Plus. And if people are waiting for it to go on Prime, there's no reason to ever get MGM Plus.
I think Amazon will see it as that they're getting paid twice. I think that's the way.
No one's gonna pay the first time for MGM Plus if it's gonna go on Prime. Yeah, people wait 6, 8, 9 months for a movie to not. They don't go to a theater because they can wait at home. They're gonna wait 6, 8, 9 months if it's on MGM Plus and it's not reaching the zeitgeist that it should. Because if it's on MGM Plus, it will not be getting the Twitter. It won't be getting the Instagram. It won't be getting the social media run that it should. It won't get anywhere near the social media run that it should.
I do have a question. Just realised.
Huh.
What's happened to this Stargate dedicated channel on Amazon Prime?
Did we ever get that on Freevee?
I don't think so.
It was on MGM Plus.
I don't think so.
Came here. It was announced, wasn't it? And it was going to be on in the States at least, definitely.
Because I thought the Stargate the Stargate specific channel would only have Stargate on repeat would be was an experiment to see what the interest was, but it never, as far as I'm aware, it didn't get.
They just put it on MGM Plus instead. But MGM Plus in America has doubled its subscription in 12 months. More than doubled its subscription in 12 months.
Like this joke we made on Wednesday.
I know it's gone from 4 to 8, but apparently Amazon executives are quite excited, and like I said to you in the week as well, when they've done like satisfaction surveys, MGM scores like second or third out of all of the streaming services.
That's MGM Plus.
MGM Plus, yeah. That when they look at it and they go, this costs £5 and I've got all these classic MGM movies and blah, blah, blah. And it scores really, really high in satisfaction. So Amazon look at that and go, well, if we can keep the price at that, but advertise it like crazy, this could be as big as Freevee.
It could be, but like we talked about on Wednesday, if they're going to have their MGM products on Prime and have it for free on Prime, no one's going to be paying that extra $5 for the products they can just buy on Prime. Or not even buy, just watch on Prime.
Put it this way then as well. MGM Plus, you're Mike Wright, and you run MGM Plus, right? And Amazon are telling you that we're going to get MGM IP and it's going to appear on MGM Plus first. The channel is growing already. I mean, Epix was a reasonably, what was it, like 9th largest, I think, or something like that in America when it was Epix. So whatever it is now. Oh, there's a cat. So if you're Mike Wright and you're running this, do you want Stargate, and will you absolutely fight your balls off to get it?
Oh, I totally would. And that's part of the issue, is that he wants it for MGM Plus, and he's thinking about his streaming service, and Amazon is thinking about a streaming service instead of thinking about what's best for the show. And that's the issue at hand, is that what do we always say as film people? It doesn't matter exactly what the genre is or anything. Script and story come first.
Yep. But
that is being thrown out the window.
You're going to be thinking Stargate is it's the sleeping giant of sci-fi. This could be our Star Trek. I want it on MGM Plus. And if I want MGM Plus to grow, I need a show like Stargate. I need something.
So if they're going to do their due diligence, it's probably going to take 2 years, maybe 3, to actually put all this together and all that. And it's taken 2 or 3 years just to decide if we're going to get it on Amazon or MGM Plus. If they're going to do their due diligence and do it right, and they haven't even started the whole, they might have some pre-production, but if they don't have any pre-production or very minimal amount of it already done, that means they still have to build all that. That means they have to get the studio space, they have to do et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I'm telling you now, for the next thing on the sort of like the story goes, is that MGM Plus have got are looking at Stargate. They are looking at doing a series, but we knew that anyway. The idea was that it was supposed to be in conjunction with the movie. Apparently, I'm being told they're still looking at the series, but it won't be this year. It'll be next year. It might go on the development list slate, but the development slate is not going to be released.
Come on.
If this decision has been made, the earliest we could get it is 2027. I think 2026 is even if we push it another 3 months, the earliest is going to be 2027. I love it.
A massive cat's bottom.
I'm gonna deal with.
I love it. Like
This
she
is
almost
why I'm
blacked
a
out the
dog
entire
person.
screen. There we go. It was a full blackout on the screen. I was waiting for that.
Yeah, this is why I'm a dog person, mate. The dogs do as they're told. Cats do as they want. I think there's already been a lot of development and stuff work done towards the series on it. I don't think this is going to be 2026, 2027. I think this will go into full-blown development next year, and we'll see it by the end of next year. As soon as we get an announcement, a TV show can be on our screens in 9 months.
Right.
They have done a lot of work on this already. The problem is, the cat wants to tell us something.
Yeah, he wanted something to eat. He's been out all bloody day, and just come running in like that. It's crazy.
Dogs treat you like family. Cats treat you like staff. Yeah,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they do. They do. I agree.
Yeah, my dog just loves me. Your cat is just thinking, "Why aren't you feeding me right now? What? How dare you not be looking at me?" Stupid cats. But anyway,
if you notice, when he came on, he didn't actually look at me.
No,
yeah. He's like, "What's going on over here?" The cat wants Stargate as well.
Yeah, it does.
So the caveat that I would say is something that could go on MGM Plus that I think would be a good thing for MGM Plus, would get a bunch of eyes on it, especially the Stargate eyes, which if those are the eyes they want, they don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on it. We've talked about it before. Do a miniseries. Do your main series on Prime. Promote your miniseries on whether it's a prequel, whether it's off an ancillary, tertiary, secondary character, whoever the hell you want to do, whatever the hell you want to do. Put a little miniseries over on MGM Plus and use that. If they want to play the long game, which it seemingly is what they want to play, because it's taken 2 or 3 years to make a freaking decision, and we're not even there yet. So make the series, make the movie, make a series, and at some point you could do the miniseries before you do the series, but promote that on Prime and put the miniseries on MGM Plus. Bridge the gap. That's how you bridge a gap. If you want to play the long game, play the long game, but just don't sell the franchise to Apple, please. Actually, I don't know, but that'd be a whole different conversation. I just can't. Yeah,
you do for me. What I would do if I was in charge of if my name's Jeff, hello, Mr. Bezos, and I want MGM Plus to do well because we get all of our cha-ching from Prime anyway. No one's canceling Prime, but we want a bit extra cha-ching from MGM Plus. I would do a mini series that I put on Prime with a cliffhanger that then the next season that goes straight to MGM Plus starts on. And I'm sorry, mate, I don't care how many of you are out there going, I'm not paying for another streaming service. Enough people will. Enough
people will, but then you hit that Disney aspect. Do you lose fan goodwill at that point? You're essentially forcing our hand to pay you more money instead of saying, okay, that's why I said it the other way at first is like, all right, we still have Prime. We're paying the primary of our dollars. This is a $10 a month thing, $5 a month for the extra bit. If we want that cherry on top, we can go grab it. If we want our whipped cream on our ice cream, we can go get it. But it's an option.
And we will all bitch about it, but enough of us will do it. That's all they care. Disney, they know loads of people bitch about it, but they don't really care because enough people are doing it.
They can afford the CGI in crowds in their own parks. So
you what? Sorry, Mel.
They can actually afford. They can afford the CGI in crowds at their own parks.
Yeah,
so they don't.
Yeah. That's not happening. But yeah, okay.
Not the best thing for them to actually let people find out about, is it? CGI in crowds in their own parks.
For me, if I was Amazon, what I'd be doing is I'd be doing a TV movie of Stargate.
Come on. He's a little rascal.
He is a little rascal. I'd be doing a TV movie like $40-50 million. Like what Star Trek are doing with Section 31 and the Picard movie. That's what I would do. You can do a 2-hour episode for about $30 million that looks, or $40 million that Star Trek sort of level looks, which is damn near cinematographic. It's pretty good. It'll look fine on the small screen, and do that. And at least then you'll build some hype. You'll get some excitement. But they don't even want to do that.
Why? Just for the sake of questions, why would you put a TV movie in there, especially when streaming it's not looking as good as it did a year and a half ago, 3 years ago?
I disagree. I think streaming is kicking cinema's ass at the moment.
There's a reason Netflix just introduced. Streaming might be doing a lot more. The numbers are going down for streaming too. There's a reason Netflix just introduced all the ad tier. People need to want to watch things. They don't want to pay money to watch things, so they want to pay cheaper amounts, and so on and so forth.
I think there's a twofold problem with that, and we are still living through a cost of living crisis. Which there is that. There are also too many streaming services, so people are picking their favorites. So there is an element to that as well. But Netflix.
How many people remember the days when there was just two?
Yeah, like when there was only 4 channels on the telly. But you've got to remember though as well. Netflix's business model is built on continuous growth, and their growth was starting to slow. They had actually decreases for a couple of months in a row, didn't they? They didn't lose like 1 million subscribers one month, and everyone was like, "Oh crap!" It's the end of Netflix. They put the adverts in and it shot up by 6 million. So, I mean, and they changed the password thing, and they thought the password thing was going to kill them, and it didn't. Their subscription number shot up, but their business model is based on continuous growth. They can't stagnate. So that's why they've done it. But Netflix have come out the best.
Well, now they're
streaming wars.
Well, now Netflix, their model isn't entirely based on growth. Now their largest base of subscribers is an ad revenue tier. They've changed their entire model to lean into a cable aspect of a network. All these streaming services are leaning closer and closer to cable. We're going back to it. I don't think TV movie. So just because hindsight's 2020, that's what I like to say. But just because I came in so late for the whole Stargate crew, you know, I had to grow up first, and then I was like, oh wait, this is a thing. And now I adore it. But after I finished Stargate SG-1, those 2 TV movies were disappointing, and I really wish they not truly disappointing. I had a good time, but I feel like in scope and scale, they were disappointing in the sense of both of those could and probably should have been actual films, especially with how big Stargate was at the time. Spend an extra $20, spend an extra $20 million or $10 million, whatever. Just give it a little bit more of a budget, not a whole bunch, just enough. Put it in theaters, and we probably would have finished SGA. We probably would have finished SGU if that was the case. There probably would have been enough goodwill to continue. I think we would be shooting ourselves in the foot. And
there was a business model that changed basically on them. There wasn't there. There was a business model to put on DVDs. And I actually think what they should have done immediately was just picked up the phone and phoned Netflix, and Netflix would have paid for it because
that would have been good at the time.
Netflix would shoot it up, and
they
missed it.
My worry with the TV movie, my worry with sending it to MGM Plus. How did Stargate actually die the first time? It listened to MGM. Excuse my French. I'm not even going to say F MGM. I was gonna say just fuck whatever. Screw MGM completely. I love the company. It's an amazing company. They put out some of the best films that have ever been made, and they will hopefully continue to do so. But there's a reason they have been on the verge of bankruptcy for a long time, and there's a reason they did end up selling off everything to other people besides their Vegas casinos.
They made some horrendous business decisions, particularly in the 80s.
Don't think the leftovers are making good decisions still.
Yeah, well, you could argue that, but no, you could. Yeah, I think that's a fair argument.
My entire point comes to that.
Like, until what was it? 2015. They were a nightmare. Yeah, absolute nightmare until about 2015, and then they improved. And 2015, the year that we almost got the Stargate reboot, by the way. So luckily that didn't happen.
Yeah.
The one thing this executive that was chatting to my friend, is he saying that one of the things they're really furious at MGM is that they feel like, particularly Stargate and a couple of other projects he mentioned as well, have been a massively wasted opportunity. That there was loads of momentum and loads of really good, positive public interest in things like Stargate, and it's waned because people got bored waiting. Look at all the interest. When Amazon bought MGM, everybody went nuts. Well, where's Stargate? Stargate will be around the corner. Brilliant. 2 years ago.
It was the whole reason I got into Stargate.
Yeah. So, I mean, 2 years has gone by now, and even on this channel where we're pretty much hardcore Stargaters, we're getting sick of this. If you've noticed, I don't talk about Stargate anything like as much as I did, because even I'm getting irritated by it. And I know what's going on. I like say I know a few things I can't share, so I'm still confident we're going to get this year, but or we're going to get something really exciting this year. But even I'm sort of like banging my head against a brick wall. It feels like, you know, is there?
How much of that can be chalked up to MGM?
Sorry,
how much of that can be chalked up to MGM actually prolonging this out and keeping it from actually happening?
It's Amazon. This was 100% Amazon, mate. And at the end of the day, when Amazon bought MGM were allowed to believe that they were going to continue being allowed to do the projects they had lined up. They continued to work on Stargate. They continued to work on Brad's Stargate, and they continued to work on a second project. And they thought they were going to be allowed to green light this as soon as the sale had got through FTC. They could get the money sorted. Amazon weren't going to start spending money until the FTC had sort of like said all thumbs up. And then they thought they were going to be allowed to crack on with it. And the second the FTC's doors shut and they went, okay, like, you know, the hammer came down, agreed. Amazon went, oh, we've changed our minds. Actually, we're going to absorb MGM and we're basically going to wipe MGM as a business. You're only going to be a brand. And they absorbed it and they blamed COVID.
I'm not taking the big giant corporation side. I'm just trying to be realistic as I'm trying to be with this entire thing.
It's not like he wants to work for them at some point.
Well, I'd like to work for MGM more than I would. I'd rather have an MGM lion behind my name than I would an Amazon Prime if I'm in a movie or TV show. But
you've got to be kidding me.
Realistically, if Amazon in general is buying you, one of the largest companies in the world, and you don't physically sign papers that say you're keeping our entire company together, and like it's because if they would have had to contractually keep MGM together the way they did we lose a soccer goal or something? Oops. Football, oops, whatever I'm saying. But I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Newport County scored 2 goals against Manchester. We're in the Premiership. Newport County are 1, Welsh, and 2, 4 leagues below us. Just saying. Fuck Stargate. That's it. I'm done. I'm out of here. Fuck it. I'm back.
It's unfortunate. Some of those smaller clubs are really good clubs. That's the problem.
Shut up.
So, saying, well, I'm going to keep my comment to myself and what I was about to say.
I'm a Man U fan. I can admit that.
Just let me vent.
Okay, so that's where my thought process was. So, I mean, if we're just being realistic, how big corporations work, MGM was kidding themselves if they actually 100% believe that. If it was not contractually signed, written down in writing that MGM was going to stay its own thing, if it was just promises made in the boardroom and handshakes and word of mouth instead of physical writing on a piece of paper, MGM was never going to stay MGM. It was always going to be absorbed. The Amazon people never thought that was just a negotiating tactic at best. If it was not written down.
Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca were out the second the FTC decision ended. Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca were gone, and that was because the rumor is it was because they realized they'd been lied to, and it was them. All the MGM staff were looking at them, going, "You've been telling us for 6 months this was going to be fine."
Well,
and they went and they just left.
I understand being upset, but that's about as naive as someone can be when dealing with Amazon. Amazon. That's just about as naive as anybody that's running a company can be. And if you're that naive running a company, as good as some of the stuff you might have done is, you shouldn't be running a company. I'm just being frank at the end of the day. So with that being said, because I would have loved Brad Wright to come in there and have the immediate, because everything was ready to roll. So that would have been amazing. But because the naivety was there and Amazon did Amazon, being a big giant corporation, they've put in all this work. Is MGM keeping us from getting Stargate now after that decision was made? Because Amazon kept us from getting Stargate originally, but now is it vice versa? And the fact that Mike Wright is just wanting, okay, we got to get this on MGM Plus. We want to do this here. That's prolonging a legitimate decision from happening. The minimal facts I have is that's just what my brain.
I see where your argument's coming from. Is the argument between MGM Plus and Amazon slowing things down? I would argue that Amazon are going to do what they want, and MGM as an entity barely exists as a separate entity anymore. MGM Plus only exists as it is because it's a channel within, in the same respect that Freevee has a head. And other channels, so they can make the argument, but at the end of the day, it's Jennifer Salke and people like that are making, and Mike Hopkins and people like that are making the decisions.
Okay.
Just because Mike Wright is making an argument, don't mean he ain't getting anything. He'll get what Amazon give him. I honestly think Amazon, the only reason Stargate was getting a movie was because Amazon had $1 billion a year they were going to spend on movies, and they're still not really doing that. They're not putting movies at the cinema, and that was announced 2 years ago. They're going to start doing that. Cinema's changed, and I think the people at Amazon are now going, well, if we do that, we may as well just burn $1 billion. We can do a movie. Roadhouse has just been made. Jake Gyllenhaal. Everyone's talking about this being awards ceremony, and last minute they've gone, yeah, we're not putting that at the cinema. We're going to put it straight on Prime. And everyone's,
I think that's a tactic.
Yeah, everyone's gone nuts over it, haven't they? But I think that is an example of the symptom, not just at Amazon but other studios, that they're looking at the cinema and going, if we put a movie at the cinema, we're just flushing our money down the toilet. There's no point. We may as well put it on the streaming service straight away. Put it behind a firewall at first. Put it behind a paywall at first, and people, and then put it on Prime, and it'll make the money. It's not worth putting money in the cinema. You can't lose money.
You don't make money by putting anything on TV movies on like Tarantino literally just put a whole statement out. It was like, Ryan Reynolds has made 5 Netflix movies. He got the money they paid him, but how much money have any of those movies made? And then he made the point of, you might watch them once, but can you name those 5 Netflix movies?
But that's,
do you care enough to name them?
That's not the business model for streaming, though. So with streaming, you get your income from the prescription, from the
new subscribers,
and you not just new, all your subscription money. So you've got 100 million subscribers. You get that money, and every year you create a budget, and this money, this amount of the subscription fee we're going to spend on movies this year, and this is the movies we're going to put out. Those movies don't have to do anything. They don't have to be watched really, because it's not about that. You've already got the money, so that money comes in. Right, I'm going to spend this much of it making a movie. With a cinema movie, though, the point is you're not really at risk of losing money, because a film can't really bomb. They're already subscribed. If you put a movie in the cinema, it can lose money, and it can lose a lot of money.
If you're a studio that's committed to putting $1 billion worth of movies a year, and you're putting next to $0 of movies a year, and you're actually burning through cash, they can lose money. It's Amazon. They can. They are losing money, and they're losing money not putting Stargate in the movie theaters right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'd say losing money not doing Stargate right now.
In general, yeah.
Full stop.
And RoboCop. And honestly, our biggest thing, they're losing money not putting Legally Blonde 3 out.
Oh yeah,
Reese is without her spoon right now. We need Reese with her spoon back. What?
I mean, get Jennifer Aniston in it. They're good friends. It could be Legally Blonde. We need to see 3 Legally Blonde women in there.
That would be funny. It'd be funny. It'd be good.
But I just don't. I talk to the source on this and talk to the thing. I can completely understand why. I think I can understand why they don't want to do this, because I think it'll lose money. And I go back to our original argument, which we always said was, if they do a cinema movie and it bombs, will that kill the franchise? And I've never been able to get that out of my head. I do. Is there a silver lining in this whole horrible conversation that is, we're going to get a series that we actually wanted in the first place?
No, because just the budget does not make it, and that's the whole thing. Budget does not necessarily make it, so they don't need to go spend $100-200 million on a movie. They could spend a $30, $50, $60, $80 million movie, like the creator just did, And that way they're going to make money back. That way the people that already love Stargate that are going to put their asses in a seat for this movie, they're going to make their money back. Everybody else is there. If it's the right amount of budget, they're good. TV show, that changes everything. If we go to MGM Plus and it doesn't get what it deserves, or even half of that, we're getting a shell of a show, and we cannot afford to have a shell of a show, because that's what I don't even know if Stargate Infinity counts as anything, but that's the definition of a shell of a show. It didn't even pay attention to what actually goes on in Stargate, and so on and so forth. Things like that. I'd be worried that we're going to get something like that, something that's just not.
Well, this is speculation then, but Penguin and Parker were desperate to do this. We know Mark Fergus, and this has been confirmed by people like Jenny Stiven and a few other insiders have said Penguin and Parker were involved with this. They did the development work. They had a development contract, but something happened last Christmas, and it seems that Penguin and Parker walked away. That's what it looks like now. We weren't sure. We're still not 100% certain, but it looks like they maybe walked away last Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
We know some of the arguments were over budget. We know that was what was causing the hiccup at the time. That Mark Fergus was saying, look, are we doing a movie or a series or both? Is this going on Prime or is it going on MGM Plus? Or is it going on Freevee, for God's sake? Just tell me where it's going and I will I will pitch it to where it goes. You know, just tell me what I'm doing. What budget are you giving me? I would love something like about $8, $9, $10 million an episode.
I think that's the perfect niche.
They came back with 5. And the feeling at the time was they'd probably drop on around 7, which is what Star Trek was getting at the time. But now that would be squeezed now, because that was, 18 months ago when it was all still rosy and everyone still thought they could spend anything they wanted on streaming series, then it would just grow, But we'd be looking at $6 or $7 million an episode now, I think. If they supported it, if they really threw everything into it. But we know from Apple and the Foundation, they could do an awful lot with $4 to $5 million an episode if they're clever.
With the decision making that this studio goes through, Apple, we don't hear any drama coming out of Apple. We hear negative drama coming out of Apple.
No.
What kind of drama do we hear coming out of this? They're not the same studio, and they're not going to spend $5 million the same way. We know that just from Wheel of Time. We know that just from Rings of Power. We know how their mind works, and their mindset is not the same as Apple. So, because Foundation is the perfect example of, you don't need that $7, $8, $9, $10, $12, $13 million talking Monarch kind of money to do something. You only need that $4 or $5 million. Like, Melvin, don't kill me, but Foundation looked and was 10 times better than anything Monarch pulled off in that show for for literally a third of the price per episode. And they did way more. And Amazon has not proven to us at all that they are willing to even attempt to get in that kind of headspace to make something. Not even the right headspace. That's like before actually getting into the actual production, pre-production, anything, writing things down. They haven't even gotten to the right headspace yet. They're not in the right playing field. They're playing soccer while it's actually the basketball court. Like they don't know what's going on.
You mean volleyball?
All the above.
You also mean that? I mean, these are still the second biggest streaming platform on Prime. They are the second biggest. There's Netflix, then there's not far behind Amazon, and then a bit behind that Disney. So they are a player but it seems to me that they look at Netflix and go, well, just keep spending the money, and Netflix is still naughty for that.
Mm-hmm.
And they still waste money hand over fist.
It's the reason they started losing us 1 million subscribers a month at a certain point.
Yeah. But I mean, I would say that about 3 years ago, they realized the way streaming was going, and they've shown the other providers how to do it. And they've saved so much money on their storing all the actual data. What's it called? I was got my brain's gone out of my head. They save so much money on that now. They started turning a profit again, which has just been insane. Netflix never really made money.
No.
Lost money, but it's. I just think, I don't know. I don't think this is necessarily as a terrible thing that they're not going to go ahead with the movie. It's just going to be one more delay. It's just, when will they actually announce it? And again, this source that we have to say is a rumor. We can't confirm it at this point. Doesn't think it'll be this year that we even get like a full-on announcement. Is it? Can you either of you imagine any reason why that would be?
Bickering. Just in-house bickering.
Just arguing.
What else? I don't know.
They don't know where to go with it. They don't know what to do. So that's it.
Yeah, I just think it's. I suspect that the issue here is that they weren't prepared when the strikes ended. They've taken a while to get going again after the strikes. And now, because they've basically decided to reset everything, they've got their hands full with what they were already doing. Never mind trying to do something new. And I think it might actually come down to as simple as that. They just don't. And now they've just let go 700-800, people in redundancies to try and cut costs, because that's what all the studios are now trying to do, is desperately trying to cut costs. And again, they're not going to focus on taking a risk on something new right now when they don't physically even have the people maybe to do it, because they've just sacked a bunch of people. So yeah, I think that's the way. I think that might be it might just be as simple as that. It's going to take another 12 months.
How many films were they supposed to be bringing out a year? Amazon specifically after purchasing MGM, was it something like 12 or something they wanted to do a year?
No, they were going to do 5 to 6 billion for that billion. That was just Amazon. Amazon were going to do 5 or 6 cinema movies a year.
Yeah, and the other ones were straight to streaming, were they? I remember I read something about them hoping to do 12 movies a year, but not specifically.
That's probably right. Yeah, that $1 billion that was being specifically ring fenced, which is why I think Stargate was always going to get a cinema movie in the first place. And I've said that a million times, haven't I? Was because he had this £1 billion, and they just thought, we may as well just spend that a bit on Stargate. But I think they've decided now that we're not going to spend that £1 billion on cinema movies. I'd be surprised. I think it'll be maybe a case by case basis. I think they'll literally come along and go, okay, this movie feels like a cinema movie. Let's go for it. And then other films like Roadhouse. Roadhouse was always supposed to be a cinema movie. Always. And when was it announced that it's going to go to stream? Like a week ago? It comes.
I still think that's a tactic. There's a few people that come out saying that's just a tactic to get more people to go watch it, because once again, it's hard to get people to go into theaters right now. You convince people they're going to be able to watch it in a week or two, and then they're like, oh wait. This so many people loved it that we have to go to the theater now. All right, I'll go to a theater. That's what happened to Avatar.
Pay-per-view price on that Prime nowadays?
Depends. Sometimes they're 20 quid.
Sorry?
Sometimes it's about 20 quid for a movie when it's still on at the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll probably go on Prime as rental for about £10 when it comes out. And
too damn much.
Yeah, but I mean, compared to a cinema ticket, it's still less than a cinema ticket.
See, this is whenever I have to put this in people's minds. Go back to the movie theaters, because it's cheaper to do that than to pay for all these streaming services, because all these different big chains, if you have a Cinemark chain, you go see 2 movies a month for free. If you have a Regal Regal Cinemark, if you have a Regal Unlimited membership, whatever it's called, $23 a month, and every movie is only 50 cents. I go see
where I am.
The AMC one's even better.
Odeon around here, so any film is £5 to go and see. But the problem is, there's nothing to go and see.
But also, if you don't have a fancy pass or anything, every Tuesday, typically at large chains of theaters, they have movie Tuesdays or discount movie Tuesdays. It's $4, $5, $6, $7 for a ticket instead of $15, $18, $20. Come on, y'all.
This is an interesting point Nakes make. Do we Game of Thrones it? And do they throw in a load more violence and sex and make it for a more grown-up audience. I've just watched a series on Netflix. The fuck's it called? It's like an action comedy series, Obliterated.
Mm.
I watched the first couple of episodes. I watched about halfway through the first episode. I was thinking, this is stupid. It's like the A-Team. It felt like a 1980s episode of the A-Team, but with boobs and swearing and drugs and really violent. So I was like, oh, if they've made a series that's going to remind me of the A-Team, but that I'll watch now. And that's what so halfway through the first episode, I was thinking, this is stupid. By the end of the first episode, I was like, we're going to watch the next episode, though, right? And by the end of the second episode, I was like, this is the greatest TV show that's ever made, because it's like the A-Team, but I want to watch it now because it's got sex and boobs and things in it. It's actually really good. It's stupid. It's full turn brain off, eat popcorn, and giggle at the silliness. But it's good. Would they, and the popularity of things like The Boys, dare do something like that with Stargate? Or any big franchise? They kind of done it a bit with Star Trek.
Well, they done a bit with Star Wars with Andor.
Yeah.
First scenes in a strip club. Like, Star Wars ain't never done that before, you know? I think there's room for it, but that would be like doing your miniseries in MGM Plus or something, or your miniseries wherever the hell you end up putting it. I don't necessarily think that should be. If people have an itching for it, they should have an itching for it. But I think someone mentioned earlier the amount of military folk that watch Stargate. Obviously, it's a big military type show, oriented show. Huge military base probably that watches it. Those people see that serious stuff on a daily basis. Part of the reason they watch it is because they get to see, quote unquote, that serious of stuff happening, but they don't have to they don't have to absorb it a second time for the day. They can have a little bit of a chuckle while they're still dealing with serious stuff. Because Stargate still does serious stuff. World-ending events, planet-ending events, this and whatever, whatever's going on. Oh, God.
Newport County are Welsh, and they're 4 leagues below us.
Soon to be 3.
Yeah, it seems to me it might be 3. Newport fucking County. Anyway, we can't win a game. But yeah, man, it's I 100%. I think I agree with you. I wonder whether they could do something like what they've done with Star Trek, though, but hopefully do it better. The idea of all the different Star Trek series is that they've sort of pitched every different series at a different demographic. So Discovery was always supposed to be a slightly younger demographic. Picard was supposed to be like my demographic, the people that watched TNG first time around. Then we did a cartoon that was, but each series was pitched and the idea being, if you don't like one, and they actually said this repeatedly, Kurtzman keeps saying it, and Gene Roddenberry's kid keeps saying it. If you don't like one Star Trek, just watch another Star Trek. Ha ha ha! And it drives me up the wall.
Laura, I can imagine a lot of soldiers and stuff being put on report for doing that sort of thing. Just imagine them changing their badges around on a military base.
Yeah,
I've got the C patch on my arm.
I don't want to be a sergeant anymore. I'm fine for being a colonel. I don't like that style. But could the idea be that they're going to do something like that now with Stargate? Because that was what we heard at first. That was the first rumor that was going around, was that they were looking at Star Trek and Marvel, and they wanted to do that sort of thing. What it would be and the thing is with Amazon, they've got 2 or 3 different places they could put different series. They could put a series on Freevee and one on Prime and one on MGM Plus, and have very different types of show. Build a franchise.
To kind of tie it in to something that we talked about as a channel as of recent is Brad frickin' Wright. He doesn't necessarily have to show run something, but wouldn't it be nice if he wasn't necessarily he might not be the Kevin Feige of all of it, but if he's at least somebody that can consult on all these things and bridge the gap, he doesn't need to be in charge of it all necessarily. Yeah. But if he's got a fingerprint on everything, that would not only be goodwill for your old fans, it would tell the new fans, hey, we do have confidence in this again, because that's, once again, you just want to show confidence, because 2 or 3 years of edging, look where we've been now, I don't necessarily like because a couple people said, like, don't follow the Star Trek model, don't follow the Star Trek model. I like the idea of the following the Star Trek model, but
do it better.
Do it correctly. Plan things out. Plan your work, then work your plan, and don't do it just like, all right, let's just toss spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks, you know? Because that's what I feel like Star Trek's done. But it could have been effective if thought out.
Star Trek fans don't care about canon and details. Don't worry about it. Just do whatever.
There's a reason I haven't started watching Star
I remember
Trek.
in the second episode of Thing is 35 years ago when you said that wasn't right and somebody else said thing, and that Jeffrey tube should go left, not right. Ah! And it's like, no, sci-fi fans really, really focus on detail. And
you're forgetting one very important thing, Jay. There should not be that much empty space on board the Discovery.
Yeah, there was a lot of empty space on board the Discovery.
Turbo shafts? What turbo shafts? It was open space.
Oh, those turbo shafts in the Discovery were stupid. There was just massive empty spaces with these things going there. It was just ridiculous. How big is that ship? It's like Star Trek 5 when they go and they have, they have the boots and they go up and they just see like deck 99 and deck 103 and they're like, whoa! How big's the Enterprise? And it hasn't got 300 decks. I was just like, details matter, and that was one of the things that Brad Wright always talks about with Stargate is that actually these things do matter. You establish a rule, and okay, mistakes will happen. You might even change things, but if you change something, have a reason for it. But the rules matter. You establish rules and you follow them. Star Trek just went rules, schmools. I've got a list of rules.
So sorry, last night I Nick Cage. I love all of his recent movies since Mandy, Color Out of Space, and Willy's Wonderland came out. I've just been loving everything he's put out. Prisoners of the Ghostland looked like one of those fun, weird movies that he did, kind of in that same vein a couple years ago, and I've been wanting to watch it since it came out and just never have. I watched it last night, and it was the epitome of that, and I was just pissed off for an hour and 40 minutes. I hated that movie so fucking much. They didn't lay out any ground rules, and they sure as hell didn't stick to any of them. And it was just like
rules.
The lack of coherence was just like, and I'll put on my little Hollywood hat and be like, okay, well, there's something artful over here. There's something artful over here. I'm like, the cinematography looks good. Besides that, fuck this movie. Like it was bad. But anyway, sorry, that just was stuck in my brain.
They did change that rule. It's funny though, isn't it? With Stargate, you really have to when they've made a mistake or they've changed something, you really have to like think about it and go, well, yeah, okay, they did change the 3-shot rule because it was a story mechanism to allow them to do things. They did change that. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. But they never really actually broke that rule. But what they said was that you need to do it sort of 3 times quickly because it needs to build up the energy. Or if you allow it to dissipate, then you can do it again, sort of thing. So they never really. But with Star Trek, it's like I have to try to figure out where they haven't broken canon this week. It's a completely different. It's just Stargate was always way, way better at it than that. But anyway.
Well, a lot of times Brad Wright made it up as he went along. So
that was all. It's documentary. Right? Rob Cooper and Brad Wright made it all up. Even.
It's not like they had a team of writers with them going, "Oh, here's an idea."
Well, that's just talked about Stargate in this news. I'm going to have a video out in the next couple of days where I'm going to try to succinctly put all these ideas together. As I said, I haven't really done it yet because I've been trying to find out as much as I can, and just nobody knows anything. So yeah.
I look close to them. Send me addresses. I'll go get some information.
Yeah. The one thing I was thinking about though is, you remember I have one of my sources is in marketing, and they said just before the strikes ended, they were asked to review a bunch of projects that they were planning for release, sort of thing, in the next 6 months. And one of the things would have been Stargate, but they were told not to review Stargate. At the time, we wondered, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is that because they're canceling it, or is it because they're about to release it? And we were like getting a bit excited. Like, maybe that means they're about to actually. Maybe they're not reviewing it because they're going to do it. And now it's like, oh no, they didn't review it because they were cancelling it. And it's like they're not going ahead with the idea that they were having this. They were told, so the marketing people were told not to bother. And that was months ago. I told you, like, guys, that. So I really should have sometimes, we have this news and we want to see the positive. And we want to go, maybe it's a good thing. And in the back of your head, you're going, this is probably a bad thing. But yeah, so let's see what happens. But I did want to talk a little bit about The Expanse before we go, because I dropped a video last night basically saying that Amazon have finally agreed for, I'm going to say it wrong again. I want to say Alcon. Alcon. Amcron is a stereo manufacturer. Then I had a lovely stereo when I was a kid. Alcon are the company that make fucking thing. Right. So
actually, there's loads of companies called Alcon. Actually,
there's loads of them.
Tons of them.
Amcron and Alcon and Alcron, and so they're quite easy to mix up. But anyway, basically the story goes that Peter Moore, is there any good news? Man United are winning.
They're winning from your reactions?
Yeah, 3-2. That was me going, yeah. And then I was pointing out that it's with the fucking.
We couldn't hear it in audio for some reason.
And it's
we couldn't hear it when you were cheering and going like that. It was so quiet.
3-2. But anyway, so the sun came up, and World War III hasn't kicked off yet, but it's probably going to. So so don't get too excited.
It's 2024.
Yeah. We're breathing. Yeah. And you know what was great news that I was gonna just wait till the end of the movie to embarrass you about, but you know what? It's not even that embarrassing because we're twins, birthday twins. I can't believe you're 25 already.
Yeah, I am 25. I was 25 years old last week.
Jamie turned 25 years old yesterday, y'all.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you. And I did. Thank you all for my birthday wishes. Actually, I got loads of messages. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I don't know how Shelley knew it was my birthday. Did it come up on my Facebook or something?
Probably. Yes. I got a notification.
Ah, crap. I need to remove that. But I got some lovely messages. Thank you so much.
But now it's on the interwebs internationally. We all know when your birthday is now.
Yeah. Well, I told my wife not to get me a present or a card or anything.
She got you both.
She got me boggle. Nothing. I didn't get a card. I didn't even get a birthday card off the woman.
Did you get a birthday kiss?
No. I don't kiss and tell, sir. But just my wife. Is that really a bad thing? I don't know.
He just plugged himself.
What? Yes, I was wished a happy birthday. We'll put it that way, in a different way. But yeah, not even a card. So I've divorced her. So that's fine. Did I get many presents? Do you know how many presents I got? I bought myself a snooker cue.
What?
A snooker cue. A cue for playing
snooker. Kind of like pool, but on a bigger table.
Okay.
You know when you got American sports, and then you've got proper sport, right? So you've got pool that's easy. Mm-hmm. We made the table much, much bigger and made it actually challenging. And then you know where you've got American football with loads of padding and it's easy. We removed all the padding and call it rugby, and we basically are surprised anyone survives.
I think you forget that all these other things came first, and the American tends to be just the refined version of all these things.
Yeah, but according to the Americans, they invent stuff. So.
Well, you know how you guys play skip ball? Girls play netball here. Mm-hmm. And you know how you guys play baseball? Girls play baseball. We play softball or like
cricket.
Children girls play rounders, mate, and you call it baseball.
What cricket? What about cricket?
Cricket's
that playing a thing?
It's not a sport; it's barely a game. I think cricket was invented for the English to sit round for a week and drink.
This is a gentleman's social game.
Isn't that most sports though? That's what the audience always does.
Yeah, but we decided to do it for a week. Cricket. So,
and don't watch American football. Watch rugby.
In cricket, you can sit around for a week and no one wins, and it can still be a draw.
I think you guys combined rounders and cricket to make baseball, actually.
Yeah, probably. And then you did the
It
World
goes
Series
on just
where
as
you
long
don't
as
invite
the
anyone,
cricket
so
goes on a
America
week.
can always win. Yeah, that's the World Series of baseball. So, but you're the dominant superpower on the planet, so that. Yeah.
Well, you keep saying American, but you know what I really am, and the reason America is the dominating super person on the planet is because they got Texans, baby, which Texans make up the majority of the United States military, the vast majority. So we
reason America
do run the world.
Superpower is because China keeps having electric cars blow up.
Yeah. And we've got the Scottish, so we fill the Scottish with our military. They're the equivalent to Texas.
Yeah, but do you really have the Scottish? Because I feel like they want to leave y'all just as much as we want to leave America sometimes.
Yeah, we just luckily though they're skint, so they are okay.
Luckily, they don't realize just how much it costs to provide a police force, provide a military.
Texas can do that.
We got all our nuclear submarines, and we're like, we're not keeping them in England. They're dangerous.
But they've got the base, but they don't have stuff.
They're all in Scotland. Our big nuclear bases in Scotland.
Yeah,
this radiation is dangerous. I don't have that there. I don't have that in England. Screw that. Anyway, I hope the Scottish don't leave. I like Britain. I like being part of Britain.
I hear the United States military is concerned about us not sharing the new stealth technology for our new submarines.
Yeah, they're not very happy with us. Our new submarines are like 3 times.
Like, then why don't you tell us about your F-22?
Yeah. Well, no, they sell them to us at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
The Lightning IIs. Anyway, look, The Expanse. So I dropped the story last week that obviously I've been following this for about a year now, and it looked like exactly that the Amazon still held the TV and movie rights for The Expanse, but Imcron, Amcron, Alcon, whatever actually do own the IP, so they own the show, the rights to the show. And then you've got people like Daniel, his name's gone out of my head. The S.A. Corey guys, Daniel Abraham, and
Ty Franks,
who are obviously the original writers, and then you've got Naren Shankar, who is the who was the top guy at the show. They've been trying to put a production company together for a while, but there was never any movement because Amazon still held the TV rights. Amazon looked like they're about to release the TV and movie rights back to Alcon. So that frees The Expanse to potentially return. Is that something that we would be interested in, though, at this point?
Yes.
So no. Harris, have you ever even watched The Expanse?
Yeah. The reason I started watching Stargate was because I just finished The Expanse, and I was like, I gotta figure something else that fits in this boot. And then Stargate was the big thing for MGM on Amazon, and that move just happened, and I was like, this seems fun. Let me try it out. Should I watch this or should I watch Farscape? I watched 2 episodes of Farscape. I was like, this is really good. But I think I was pissed off that Netflix hadn't. I think I just rewatched Dark Crystal or something, and I was like, I'm pissed off at Muppets right now. I can't do it. So I just kind of I went to Stargate, and I've not looked back once. I probably should watch Farscape, but still.
Yes, you should watch Farscape. That is great, and hopefully that's going to come back at some point. If Amazon get their way, it will. Straight to Freevee. But you know, there's so much universe there to expand. But the real question I want to ask is if it is Apple that go for it, and they seem to be the only ones interested at the moment. But let's be honest, Alcon are going to have to finance and produce something, and then potentially, hopefully, somebody will buy I'm hoping they do it in the old-fashioned way of that they actually buy maybe buy a miniseries. And then build from there. But if Apple are willing and go, here's $50 million, do us a season, and we'll see where we go from there. Are Apple the perfect place for this show to go? Could The Expanse actually finally find a home that suits it?
Look at the foundation price tag and not just the price tag, but just look at the final product based upon what they did with that price tag. I think the Expanse would do wonderfully on Apple. I think that the way it moved from sci-fi to Amazon, it still did all right, but it felt like sci-fi's Game of Thrones in the last 2 seasons, where those last 2 seasons just weren't the same as those first 4. It's still decent, still good, still better than most other things on TV, like the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. But if you compare it to those first few seasons, you're just like, it's night and day. I think Apple would actually take the time and effort into making this what it could and should be. I guess there's a lot of other streaming services that, if given the opportunity, they would try to streamline this as fast as possible. And I mean, I know Monarch, we probably have varying levels of opinions on, but still a very meticulous show that they spend a lot of time and effort on, and one that they probably I think they greenlit it around Godzilla versus Kong, right? And they've been working on it for a while since, maybe even right before it. So even with a big franchise like that, they're willing to take the time, and it still looked amazing. I still wish that we could have gotten a lot more from it, but what we got looked amazing, and was well made, at least. And I think that would just proves Apple would be able to do it and do it well.
Well, I mean, Melvin, we've got the sort of TV shows that Apple have done in the last few years, sci-fi TV shows. Silo first season, they've done a second. For All Mankind has had 5 seasons, something like that. It's a few.
Like that. We just had the 5th one, I think. Yeah.
And Foundation is just getting its 3rd season. Invasion has had at least 2 seasons. I think is that going to be a 3rd one next year? C got 3 or 4 seasons. Oh god, to be honest, it goes on and on and on, really. This is a streaming platform. I think my point is, do you really think For All Mankind would have had 4-5 seasons on any other platform?
Not at all.
Like, I agree with this. Well, imagine Silo on Netflix. For me, that has been cancelled after the first season all over it. But Apple are pushing on. For All Mankind has not exactly been tearing up trees popularity-wise. It's had 4 seasons, and it's really only in the last year or so it's sort of come into my sphere of knowledge. People keep going, you got to watch your show, and I've finally got around to trying to watch it. It's not like it was Ted Lasso, where everyone was talking about it, is it? It's and winning awards and blah, blah, blah. It's a good show, but it was quietly a good show. But Apple have stuck with it. I just think maybe there's that Apple is the perfect place for it, because Apple will know what they've got and they'll stick with it. They'll have a 5-season plan and they'll actually do it. Whereas I don't think Amazon would have done. Well, Amazon didn't. Amazon had The Expanse, which is regularly voted one of the most popular and most realistic sci-fi shows ever made, and they cancelled it.
Well,
hit those like buttons, guys.
I like y'all.
I had my little rant. What do you guys think, though? Am I talking shit, or is this just the perfect place for me?
No, I think you're right. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. My ADD self, I get them all ready, and then they fly right out the other ear, and then they have to come back. But it just takes a second sometimes. I think you're right with Apple, though, in the sense of they actually stick with shows far more than any other streaming service does. Not just streaming, cable, whatever it is. Because one of the things that happened with this whole strike that SAG just voted on, 3 years is your average run of your TV shows. If they're successful, they'll run for about 3 years, and then contracts have to renew. Every main character, not your secondary, not your ancillary, not your guest stars, not your recurring stars, but your main cast, they have to have, I think it's like a 20 or 40% pay raise, whatever it might even be more than that, and so on and so forth. That's just does not apply to them. It applies for everybody that's worked there, I think, under IATSE and things like that as well. So you're not just doing that for your actors, you're doing that for your producers, you're doing that for your people just working on set. Everybody gets paid more after those 3 or 4 years. And just look at is that going to be realistic for something like Rings of Power? Whenever you go back for a fourth season, and how much is everybody getting paid? How much does the show cost? How much is everything? You have to raise it by 20%. You have to raise it by 40% in that fourth season. You have to have something super successful or financially successful, not just viewership successful, but financially successful to continue that on almost any other platform. The best thing about Apple Plus, their GDP is more than, I think people have made the comment, their annual income is more than most countries make every single year. They're fine with cash. That's not even their that's not even their mindset. Even that's just an extra backup for them. Their mindset going into making their TV shows, like we've mentioned, is quality over quantity for every single TV show, except, I know, Melvin, I'm sorry, except for Monarch. That's quality over quantity. But it was still well made. They just could have done better. There's so much potential. Anyway, Apple is excellent in prioritizing the quality aspect over the quantity, and they allow the shows to go longer because they don't like Foundation, $50 million budget, $45 million budget. They're not spending as much on these shows because they have a cast of people that care about what they're making, and those people are not there to make money off of these shows. They're people's pet projects. These are projects people go to because they truly care, not just about the medium of film, not just the art aspect of film or television, all of the above. They're there to make a project that is going to be on their resume that they can be proud of. And that's what Apple's really good about. And they know that. And they're not going to spend a whole bunch of money on a lot of series like a lot of people do, but they will continue to push these series until they're done in the right aspect of what the story needs it to be. You know, that M. Night Shyamalan and the Jason Momoa series, if it was not Jason Momoa, he wouldn't have gotten 3 seasons of Frontier on Netflix. I'm shocked that he ever did. But that's the whole thing. It wasn't ever going to go past that 3rd season on Apple Plus. Is it C? I don't know if it got 3 or 4 seasons or what, but they allowed it to go long enough. That M. Night Shyamalan show wouldn't have been able to go past the season 1 on any other service. And a lot of these shows wouldn't. But Apple allows them to. Not just because they have all that extra cash to do it. That doesn't even play into it yet. It might come into the play in the future. But as of now, they truly care about what they're making, and that's weird because, you know, we're half pissed off at Amazon for being Mr. Corporation all the time. Apple's bigger corporation, arguably, and they care. It just depends who you hire to actually care, and that's what I'm talking about with the whole Amazon mindset behind a lot of this. Their mindset's not even in the right ballpark. They're on the basketball court thinking they're playing soccer. And Apple is like, all right, we're playing badminton, and we're on the badminton court. We know what we're doing. It might not be some big giant sport, but we're doing it correctly.
It does seem to me that there's a big, there's a bit of a Dark Angel conversation going on in the thing. The main reason why Dark Angel was cancelled when it was because of contracts and things. And I know like Jessica Alba's apparently contract was up for renegotiation by the end of the 2nd season for some reason, and she wanted a lot more money. And there was a lot of issues like that with Dark Angel. So it's sort of the costs were about to go up when actually viewing figures had been steadily decreasing. And that was the main reason why Dark Angel got cancelled.
Well, I think even because I said 3 years, I think 3 years might be the new thing in the contract. I think it might have been 2 years, and then the re-up was actually having to happen. And I think
or something like that on a lot of it.
Because but Star Trek: The Next Generation was that it was 2 years for everybody, and then re-up to 2 years. So that's why you see a lot in sci-fi shows at that period that you would see a lot of changes at the end of the 2nd series that people would leave and new actors would come in, and that you'd see a big rejig.
Stargate Atlantis.
Stargate Atlantis. Yeah, you'd see a lot of rejigs. Even SG-1. It was signed off for 2 seasons, and then they all renegotiated, and that's when production companies changed and things changed. It's quite common that you get that, and the idea being that if show 2 seasons, it's going to run on for 7, or the 5 or whatever. That's not true anymore. But streaming services, my understanding is streaming services don't negotiate contracts like that, and haven't done. Netflix have never done that.
They have to. They have if they're abiding by SAG actor, if they're hiring SAG actors for their shows, they have to abide by that, and so on and so forth. If it's a SAG production, IATSE production, it's those,
yeah. Then I think they I think Netflix tried to get around it in different ways. To be honest, but we'll see. Yeah. as somebody told me that Netflix do it more like each season is more like a movie from a contractual point of view rather than a series. So they and that's how they approach the contracts with a lot of Netflix and a lot of other stream services. But I don't really know what he means by that, so let's not get into it. But that was some kind of stuff. It's one of those things that, you know, when I'm not really listening to. Well, I get told talking to, because I'm on a WhatsApp group with 15 different sources working in different aspects of the
15,000.
15 sources. 15 and from different aspects. 15 so and they work in lots of different parts of the industry now. They almost all of them worked at MGM and they all got sacked and they've just gone into the atmosphere. So it's brilliant for me because I get to, but they talk about stuff and that group isn't for me. This is their group and they've let me into it. So they talk about stuff and I'm just like, I have no fucking clue what they're talking about half the time. They're talking about an industry that for me, I'm looking on the outside, makes no sense. It seems back. I've worked in, you know, different businesses and things my whole life, and to me, the way they do things is just backwards. But
I mean, literally though. I mean, the easiest thing to just bring up the strikes again. Well, the one thing that maybe is kind of like, well, the studios have a point. It's like residuals. How would residuals work in any other industry? They don't. They legitimately just don't. That's one of the backwards things of Hollywood is like it is very niche in its own, not just in like its own zeitgeist and how it like shows the world. It's niche in like a non-niche way, but like it's niche in the way it operates is I guess what I'm trying to say. Because it does not operate.
The entertainment industry in a whole though is different, isn't it? Because the product you're trying to sell is different. It's not flangeable, you know. It's not something that you can hold in your hands, is it? It's something.
But then again, I just even if it is different like that, I don't know if the economics, like residuals, don't exist in other industries, but they also don't exist within this industry, in the entertainment industry, for people that don't have their face on a screen, or people that aren't physically or executive producer or something like that. If you're not a head honcho of film, you might have put twice as much work as somebody that was executive producing a film on that film, and you got paid while you were there, but you're not getting residuals. Big fancy stars are, because they got their face right there, but then they got paid how much more than you on the day? How much more did they get paid throughout the entire shoot? How much bonus did they get because it did this in theaters as well, and they're still getting residuals? I'm an actor. I'd love to. Hey, residuals are fun. Keep paying me, but also let's be realistic here. Is that an actual model that is first acceptable for the world, especially if we want to in these trying times and in the scarcity and the lack of what you call it earlier? What crisis? The monetary crisis of some sort. Cost of living crisis. That's the one.
So young. God damn it! Pay a bill, boy.
I do. They're every other month out here, though.
Mom and Daddy paying your bills doesn't count.
It doesn't. I'm
joking.
I'm out here, boy. But
he's got a beard. I'm sure he pays his own bills.
You know, I lost my train of thought there. Yep. And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much.
Do you remember the old days when all the bad guys had those like mustache with the beard with the
like Harris?
I'm trying to be cast as a villain too. Hell, whatever.
Just don't forget, villains wear black hats. Right.
Right. So, what did we decide? The Expanse is good for Apple or bad for Apple? I forget. Or Apple is good for the Expanse or bad for the Expanse? I think it's good for the Expanse.
I think both are good.
Potentially good.
We'll see. I think, I think Harris had it straight up though. Considering the other things they've done, to me, it just completely makes sense. It just feels right for Apple. And I know people don't like the business model of Apple and Apple as a company, and I get that. But you actually look at what they produce on this streaming platform. For me, they're playing the long game. They're not looking at Netflix and desperately trying to chase Netflix like Disney did, and they're not trying to achieve everything in the first year. They're steadily trying to grow a platform, and I think it is a platform that will eventually merge with other platforms to make it, worth watching. But in the meantime, but to compare MGM Plus to Apple, MGM Plus could do what Apple are doing if Amazon have got any sense. They need that Ted Lasso show though, and that show could be Stargate. They need that show that's actually going to get them recognized. When Ted Lasso came out, a lot of people were like, Apple have got their own streaming platform, have they? And that's what this MGM Plus needs. It needs its Ted Lasso. It needs a show. It needs its Star Trek. It needs a show that people actually go out of their way to watch. And if this is the plan over Amazon, I get it.
Mindset.
But, yeah, we need. If only, mate. I've always said, give me Stargate. I don't give a crap if it's a movie, a series, whatever. I would prefer a series. A movie made me nervous, but the way I saw it was, if it's good, it'll work at the end of the day, and that's what should actually matter. Star Trek, if it was good, it would be better. The problem is it's not, or a lot of what they're doing isn't very good. Marvel, there's no such thing as superhero fatigue. There's bad movie fatigue because a lot of the movies they've done in the last 5 years have not been very good. And that people know, neither of their shows particularly, no. Which is why they're now desperately trying to do a reset, and they're trying to move back towards the Netflix sort of era of TV shows. It feels like to me, they've realized they're fucked up, so they seem to be trying to reset. But we've had a long time of, we've had about 5 years of really bad product, and people will, that is the end of the world. Like, is doing his best. Who's RMB?
Robert Meyer Burnett. He's great. He's the guy we talked about that should come on, do the Star Trek versus Stargate debate that we just mentioned at the brief. It was the last Sunday or last Cinema Scoop, one of the two. I was about to type it, but he's one of the people I probably respect on this platform more than most. He's great for when it comes to film. The Duke of Discourse, the sommelier of sci-fi. He has a bunch of different names. I love the guy. He's great. Great.
I'll have to check it out. I don't think I used to watch him, I think, but it was ages ago.
Post Geek Singularity or the Burnett work?
Yeah, possibly. I try not to watch other people's YouTube channels though, particularly because it then sort of I find it's sort of like they get into my head and I sort of like will end up following, or it changes my. I want to have an honest opinion. That's my opinion. I don't want to get what's the word I'm looking for?
You don't want your perspective influenced.
Yeah, I don't want to be influenced by other perspectives and things. I want it to be a true me.
I like to try to get different perspectives from as many different spots as possible. Then
I just find it's like when you're doing this and you're trying to run it, and also to do something that's a bit different. I want to do what I do. I don't want to do what other people do. So I try. I used to watch loads because I was picking when I was trying to figure out how to be a YouTuber, and I was thinking. But then I found it. But the other problem is I just don't have time to listen to lots of different YouTube videos because I'm either doing a 40-hour week or I actually figure out I do 25 hours a week on YouTube, and I've also got a 40-hour week job. So it's like 70 hours of my week. And my wife expects to see me and things.
Only for birthdays every now and then, right?
Yeah. Just every now and again when I have a birthday.
A few hundred subscribers, you won't have to have a full-time job. You do this as full-time.
If only. I think YouTube specifically don't want YouTubers to do that, it seems. Every time they change their rules, it seems that I get less money. And I didn't get that much money to begin with. But they keep changing their advertising. There's
also the fact that in America, is it 500 subs and 3,000 hours, whereas everywhere else except for US and Canada, it's still 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours.
Which means I'm more than halfway there, and y'all just got to come help me out. We don't got too much.
You don't have to.
No, don't subscribe. You don't have to subscribe to
Come to me.
Harris's
Come to
channel.
me. Come to me.
Here every Sunday.
You should.
What's the point?
Come over to
just-
Sci-Fi Quest. I'm not over it. I'm not here all the time.
All the good movie news.
Yeah.
We go all the
And
genres.
there are links in the description for everything, but not Sci-Fi Quest because I forgot.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm leaving.
I will add a link and I will throw a link on the community page as well for you, Melvin. So I really appreciate you.
I'm doing a Ahsoka.
Yeah. Why are you what are you doing?
Because Ahsoka had her arms crossed for 89% of the entire Ahsoka series.
Were you going for unhappy but hit like 90s rapper instead by mistake? Or were you going for sexy? I'm not really sure what you were trying to do. But yeah. No, guys, go on. Everybody, YouTubers need to unionize.
I don't want to have to go on strike, though. That's the thing.
That'll just be somebody that want my money, though, then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's just another layer of red tape. All unions are an extra layer of bureaucracy. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you don't earn anything. If you're called on to strike, you don't really earn anything. You've got to wait.
Unions are the definition of good intentions pave the road to hell.
Yeah. Good intentions that make people homeless.
X2, just start posting to X2. Some people aren't a fan. They monetize for creators. I might start putting the live streams on X. I've done it once or twice.
We've started putting the cinema scoops on there, 3 or 4 already. So you got a couple up.
Yeah, I might start doing that. I might start doing just like specific ones. 503,000 hours for monetized audience or 1,004 hours for AdSense. Oh, that's the thing.
That's correct. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if YouTube's just too many people are YouTubing or what. But yeah, the money. It seems they changed the rules around July last year, and I don't know about I know from talking to other YouTubers because we do talk to each other. Everybody's ad revenue just took a boom, and it's not recovered.
I think part of it is easier for you to like get started, but also there's such a disparate between us, people like us, especially Melvin and I are like still pushing for it, versus, I mean, we're not even comparable, but versus Mr. Beast, versus Mark Rober, versus these giant things that are
There's no point
way larger than life. Well, no, I'm saying in the sense, I'm not saying comparable. That's why I'm saying like versus. It's more so in the sense of it's weird, but YouTube is losing its middle class, just like the film industry is right now. It's losing its middle class.
It's losing the ability for YouTubers like me, to be honest, where
30,000 a year ago would have been insane.
Well, yeah,
I don't
get me wrong, I love it, and I've got a hobby that earns me a nice little bit of money usually. Then I can have a day off, and I don't work full time anymore.
Spend an extra day or so at the caravan.
I've got a caravan. Yeah. Doesn't pay for that, but yes, I've got a caravan. I've also got a wife.
Get an X-Wing model for your son to build.
Yeah, immediately it was like, I'm not building it. You go build it.
It does. I do love that. It looks outstanding.
I bought myself a thing. That was YouTube money. That was 15 quid. But I've got a hobby that earns money. How many hobbies earn money? Normally, hobbies cost money.
Yeah.
But so that's really cool. But
well, this one still costs too. But
the problem is though, it is when you get used to earning this much, and then all of a sudden you earn this much. A lot of YouTubers, I do this because I love it. I don't really care. As long as I earn enough money that the wife lets me have my day off once a week to do it. Or if she gets going to like, look, you can make £100 a day at work. You're only making a couple £100. You need to go back to work. This isn't fair. And that's what she was basically saying at first. She was like, look, I know you can't make enough money. You can earn more money at work, so you need to go to work. But now I earn more money not going to work that day, so she's fine with it. The problem is if you've got somebody else and they're used to earning £1,000 a month, and all of a sudden they're only making 500, and they're not doing it because they love it, they're going to stop. So I mean, they're like, it's not even just like, oh well, but you're still making 500. But they'll be like, but I was making £1,000, and now I'm not. So, nothing's happened to Star Trek Studios. That will still happen at some point, but I think sometimes I release news that something is planned to happen, and then when it doesn't happen, like a month later, people are like, "Oh, everything in this industry takes forever." This will be something that happens potentially in the next 12 months. There's an idea with the Star Trek, calling it Star Trek Studios and buying out Kurtzman, that is part of the longer term plan with Paramount knowing it's about to get sold. And you've got to remember as well that Paramount Global don't want to be sold. They haven't got a choice. So there are lots of things going on, restructuring lots of things, because the Redstone, who own the bulk of the controlling shares, have decided to sell. And this is not normally how big businesses like this get taken over, or when we've had big mergers like this before. It's not how this has happened. So this is a bit unusual. So Paramount Global as a company are desperately trying to protect certain things. And one of the things they're looking at doing is creating this Star Trek Studios. But there's so much up in the air with Paramount at the moment. Like in the rest of the wider entertainment industry, there's so much up in the air. It's really going to depend on what happens with what Redstone decide to do, who ends up being the new owners. There's lots of things that are happening. But there's lots of things like Star Trek Studios that are being suggested because they're desperately trying to protect themselves. And Star Trek is one of their biggest assets. So they've got to protect it. And that's where this idea has come from. Buy out Kurtzman, create Star Trek Studios, move the IP basically so Star Trek Studios will own it. And then and they can do TV and movie, which they haven't been able to do before. And then when it does get sold and potentially broken up, they can protect Star Trek. That's the idea of this. Whether it happens or not, there's a lot of things going on between now and then.
Don't forget to hire Terry Metalis.
I don't think they're going to. I spoke to somebody about Legacy yesterday, and I'm just going to get called names again, but I spoke to somebody about Legacy yesterday, and they were going, "Yeah, you're bang on. This was always the plan with Star Trek Legacy, and Disney don't think they can. Paramount don't think they can get Metalis to do it, and I'm not even sure they've asked him. They've just. It seems to me that they've just assumed he can't do it because he's doing a lot of projects for Disney now. He's got like 2 or 3 projects on the go with Disney at the moment.
What's he doing
there? He's doing Escape to Witch Mountain series. He's producing and writing. He's got another project with them. That I've forgotten the name of. It's IMDb, this bitch. He's got several projects that he's written, scripts that he's written from years ago, and apparently Disney have basically said if Escape to Witch Mountain does well, we'll run off a couple. We'll have a look at a couple of other scripts. So he's like, "Oh, okay, thank you." But what's the other one he's got?
Witch Mountain.
Yeah, Witch Mountain.
Depending on who the producers are on that, I could find a way into that show. Hold up.
So yeah, he's written.
I've watched it as long as it hasn't got The Rock in it.
Oh, Bewitched. Oh, The Last American Vampire is the other big project that it looks like it's going ahead, which is again going to be a TV series, and I think that's Disney.
I can check real quick. He's 20th Century Fox, so Disney.
So it's Fox, yeah.
It says he has,
which he was trying to get made. He used to get something called The Game that he was trying to get made, but I don't think that's happening. But Bewitched is still a possibility, and I think that's
on treatment.
Yeah, so that's currently in the. So basically, he's got a bunch of deals, but the idea is none of this stuff is sort of like green lit. But Disney have said through all their different companies like Hulu, etc. If Witch Mountain does well, we'll push a couple of other these your way as well. I mean, so he might have 2 or 3. So he could. So the feeling at Paramount is that Disney have got their claws into him. That's basically what I'm told. Whether that's what happens, we'll see. Because I actually think Terry Metalis would kill to do it. If he can do it, he'll do it. But I'm not even sure Paramount have asked him. Which is, we'll see. But I think we'll get a Legacy announcement by the summer. We'll see though. By June.
Okay.
We'll see again what happens with the sale, though. Unfortunately, that might scupper lots of things for Paramount at the moment. But yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go get some dinner.
All right.
Nearly 2 hours again, so it's Sunday lunchtime. Tim Caffrey asking what to. I don't know. I looked not long ago. I don't know. As a Halo fan, that show's a travesty. Has everybody seen the second series of Halo yet?
It's coming out the 8th.
Is it the 8th?
I'm rewatching season 1 right now, and I get that all the people that played the games hate it, but coming from someone who only ever played Reach, I like the show just fine. The last 2 episodes weren't great. It's one of those things where I feel like it fits with New Trek. It's like the people that actually like love the canon and the lore or hate it, but anybody else coming in is like, oh, that's a decent sci-fi, you know. It's just like, but I understand coming
well. Yeah, and then it sort of peaked, sort of again at the end for me. But
I think season 2 will be good.
It's mostly been the removal of the helmet and the bum shots for Halo.
Yeah, which they said they're not going
to take his helmet off way too much.
I think they're going to keep doing that, but I think they took all the sex aspects of it out because.
Hey, at least you can get paid for more than just voice acting. Like someone else.
Need loads more action and loads less of the actor taking his helmet off.
Yeah,
because it's contracted in. Right. Thank you so much, both of you. It's been a legend, as always. It's been an absolutely amazing and Stargate Legacy. Thank you, everyone. We've had really good numbers. Had over 70 viewers most of the videos. That's really, really appreciate that. Still shows that people want to talk about Stargate. Lads, it's been fun. I couldn't sleep tonight and was interested in being involved in live chat. I thought you were going to go with and you helped me go to sleep. But then I was going to go, how were you writing the comment then? But you didn't. You were nice. You had an opportunity there to be horrible and you didn't take it. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate that, sir. Sarah, bye-bye. Viva la Space Whales. Hit that like button. Go over. And I like people as well. Yes, Sarah, like people. People are lovely. Like them all. Oh, no, I think she means hit the like button.
That too.
Like people as well,
though. All the
above. Share the video where the hell you like. We should have 70 likes, Brain Pain. Damn right. But not everybody that watches us likes us. So when I ever put
they stay and watch us anyway, baby.
When I put a new video out, I immediately get 2 or 3 dislikes before it's even premieres.
Same as me for every Star Trek video, conveniently.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? But I've got some people on my channel that hate me. So why subscribe? Bugger off and watch something else, you idiots.
Whether you hit that or that, it doesn't bother me.
Oh, okay.
The algorithm either way.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, thank you so much. Yeah, we got 63 right now. Have a lovely day. Enjoy your Sunday, and we will see you live next week. And we will be on with Harris on Wednesday for Cinema Scoop. So don't forget to go over.
As always.
It will be shared on the channel as normal. Peace. Love. Out.
See y'all.